So the Championship have revealed the shortlist for the end of season awards, and well, there's some interesting ones in there, so let's take a look at them. First up, it's the managers, and this is the shortlist: Daniel Farke, Chris Wilder, Scott Parker and Regis Labrie. So to be honest, I feel like a lot of safe options there, just picking the 4 managers in the top 4 clubs, but in reality I think there's a lot of managers in the league better than these, and whilst all of them are delivering a promotion race, other than Regis Labrie, it's what is expected of them at the start of the season given the squad and the budget. But in terms of out of these options, I think Regis Labrie is the best one, because after the disappointment last season, he's been able to transform them and not only implement a brilliant style of football quickly and defy expectations, he's also been able to work with the young players at Sunderland and develop them so well, which is a huge part of their success. And whilst they are out of the automatic race at this point, nobody expected them to be anywhere near where they are, so he's done a brilliant job, and I've got a full video on him and his tactics if you want to check it out. As for Wilder, of course there's some recency bias with the poor performances, but I honestly think he has done a good job this season. And if he manages to get Sheffield United promoted, I don't think anybody could argue if he does win Manager of the Season, as he's been able to turn around what was one of the worst Premier League teams in history and get them firing again. As for the other 2, the hesitancy with them is what I mentioned earlier. They have both done what was expected of them. Of course, both of them have done a brilliant job, and it looks like both will probably be promoted, so definitely fair candidates. But to play devil's advocate, I think most people would have expected Scott Parker to come in at Burnley, keep the most clean sheets in the league and take them up. But in all honesty, losing only 2 games all season is a serious achievement regardless of how many draws you've had, and conceding just 0.3 goals per game on average is really impressive too. Similarly, Farke has delivered what Leeds fans would have expected after last season's playoff heartache, and whilst they have had some serious bad spells this season, they are the ones who sit top of the table on goal difference. And Farke has brought some exciting football to Ellen Road this season. So yes, of course, all 4 are brilliant, obvious candidates for Manager of the Season. However, I do think there's others which I feel deserve the recognition too. Firstly, I think John Eustace has done an incredible job at not 1 but 2 clubs. I mean, how many managers can say that they've had a Manager of the Season worthy spell at 2 clubs in the same season? First, he completely defied the odds at Blackburn, who were one of the favourites to get relegated at the start of the season, and he got them into the playoff places at the time of his departure. And since then, without him, they've only won 2 games and have dropped down into 10th at the playoffs, so that really shows how important he was in their season. Then he dropped down to manage Derby, who looked doomed for relegation off the back of their 7-game losing streak, and in a matter of weeks he's turned that around into a 4-game winning streak and has been able to transform them, just highlighting how important he is to both clubs. So overall, I think Eustace should probably win the award, and if not, he's definitely got to be on the shortlist. Then there's Liam Manning, who's done what nobody thought anybody could ever do, and that's taking Bristol City away from mid-table mediocrity, and at the time of recording has put them into the playoff spots. And they're currently one of the most informed sides in the division with only 1 loss in the last 12. So if they do go up or even get into the playoffs, Manning definitely has to be in the conversation. Some honourable mentions who could be in there as well could be Tom Cleverley and Gary Rowett, who both have really overachieved expectations at their clubs. As for Player of the Season, the nominees are Gus Hamer, Dan James and James Trafford. I think overall these aren't great either. I mean, Dan James has been brilliant for sure, 21 goals and assists, but I don't even think he's top 3 from Leeds. Personally, I'd have Ayo Tanaka and Jayden Bogle above him. Bogle has been, in my opinion, by far the best right back in the league this season and has managed 2 goals and 6 assists from that. Whilst Tanaka, I think, has been even better. He's everywhere all the time for Leeds, he's at the centre of everything. Definitely looks a level above the Championship. Gus Hamer's been great too, 14 goals and assists. I think he's arguably one of the best players in the league, but I think he's lacked consistency this season and has tailed off at the end too. And Trafford, I mean, obviously a brilliant keeper. 13 goals conceded in 42 games is very impressive, but he's got one of the best backlines in recent Championship history protecting him. You know, I mean, they could make Calvert Dragon look good in net. So I do think Esteve and Egan Riley are probably better contenders for this, and I would probably go for Esteve out of the 2. He's been so solid for Burnley all season. As for the other contenders, I think Jack Rodoni has been brilliant, 6 goals and 12 assists for Coventry this season. Also Josh Murphy, could be biased as a Pompey fan, but here's a huge reason why at the time of recording Pompey sit outside the relegation zone with 18 goals and assists, the 6th most of anyone in the league, the most of anybody in that relegation. And he's just been able to get us through some games single-handedly. And of course, there's more players that you could put in shouts for Player of the Season, but personally I think it's between Ayo Tanaka and Esteve, and personally I would just give it to Tanaka. Then finally it's Young Player of the Season. The 3 nominees for this are Joe Bellingham, CJ Egan Riley and Shea Charles. To be honest, I don't think these are too bad. 3 really good young players. Personally, I think Egan Riley is the best out of these 3. As I mentioned earlier, Burnley have been so good defensively and he's a massive reason why. Joe Bellingham too has been good, 7 goals and assists from midfield, and is a huge reason for them being where they are this season. Jay Charles too is a really talented midfielder, and I'm sure Southampton will be looking forward to getting him back in the Championship next season, as he's been able to prove himself really well this season under Wilder. I don't think there's too many other shouts for young player of the season, to be honest, but I would probably put Sidney Peck in there too, who's been solid in the middle all season on the other side of Sheffield. But overall, I think Egan Riley is the best young player this season. So overall then, my awards would be Eustace for Manager of the Season, Tanaka for Player of the Season, Egan Riley for Young Player of the Season. If I had to use a nominee given, I would say Labrie, Dan James and Egan Riley as the winners. So I don't think the nominees are brilliant, but then I don't really think there's been standout in any of the categories, unlike last season when you could say McKenna was just so obvious. It's much more subjective this season. Let me know who you think should win each one of these awards. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.